Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the deep psychology of why you might feel completely disconnected from the world around you. If you've spent your life looking around, kind of wondering why everyone else seems to have gotten an instruction manual that you somehow missed, well, you're in the exact right place. We're going to break down the mechanics of belonging and why feeling like an outsider really isn't the problem you might think it is. Picture this. You're sitting in a crowded room. Maybe it's a classroom, a busy office, or even just a family gathering. On the outside, you're nodding along, smiling, playing the part. But inside, you feel like an empty shell. You're desperately trying to connect with the people around you, trying to find your footing, but you always end up retreating back into that quiet, empty space inside yourself. You're surrounded by all these people, yet you have literally never felt more alone. It honestly all comes down to this. Feeling out of place is like being a puzzle piece that was forced into the completely wrong box. You're constantly trying to jam your edges into spaces that simply weren't cut for you. And here is the absolute most important thing I want you to take away from our time together today. This explainer, it's not about fixing you. Why? Because you aren't broken. It's about uncovering where you truly fit. Section 1, Famous Outliers Who Won. To really grasp this, let's look at a few outliers, from fictional heroes like Naruto to real-world creators who use their intense feelings of isolation as actual fuel for their success. Just take a look at creators who completely forged their own paths. German 985, for instance, initially had these traditional dreams of acting on a stage, exactly what society expected of him. Instead, he stumbled into gaming and streaming, showing up authentically as his weird, wonderful self, even when it took years to catch on. Then there's Jimmy Donaldson, Mr. Beast. Traditional schooling just didn't fit him. Rather than forcing himself into a standard career path, he completely obsessed over his unique interest in YouTube. The common thread here? Neither of them forced themselves into traditional paths. Instead, they obsessed over their unique interests until those quirks turned into absolute mastery. And the crazy success of people like Germa or Mr. Beast, those aren't just flukes. When you feel out of place, it's so easy to interpret that as a failure to adapt. But actually, scratch that. Your feeling of being out of place is a brilliant signal. It's literally your mind and body telling you that you aren't meant to fit the existing mold, but rather to construct an entirely new one. You are meant to be different. That's your gift. Section 2, Why You Feel Different. Let's diagnose exactly why you feel this deep disconnect by exploring 3 specific psychological realities. I bet one of these is going to light up like a neon sign for you. So the first reason you might feel so incredibly out of place is that you're what we call an old soul. Think about it. You're living in a world that praises speed, constant noise, and these fleeting, superficial connections. But you crave depth. You crave silence. You feel like some old-timey philosopher who wants to discuss the stars and the fundamental meaning of life rather than, whatever the latest celebrity gossip happens to be. No wonder you feel disconnected from your peers. Your operating system is running on a totally different frequency. Second, you might be a highly sensitive person, or an HSP. And let me be incredibly clear here, this is not a disorder, not at all. It's a documented biological reality where your nervous system is just highly receptive to stimuli. You absorb the subtle emotional undercurrents of a room. You notice when a smile doesn't quite reach someone's eyes. You can probably hear the faint hum of the fluorescent lights right now. Because of this beautiful gift, everyday experiences like crowded malls, tense family dinners, or loud concerts can feel like an exhausting, full-blown assault on your senses. Finally, the third psychological reality. Your values simply might not align with society's predefined path. Society hands us this blueprint, right? Go to this school, get this job, buy this house. But to you, that blueprint doesn't look like success. It looks like a cage. Your inner truth is demanding creative expression, or helping others, or maybe just living a quiet, deeply intentional life. When your inner truth clashes with the outer world's expectations, it creates this constant, low-grade hum in your mind, whispering, "I don't belong here." Section 3, Fitting in versus belonging. So what do we actually do with all this? Do you keep trying to force yourself into the wrong box, contorting your personality just to make other people comfortable? Or do you fundamentally shift your perspective on what it means to find your place? There is a huge, stark contrast between 2 concepts we mix up all the time. Fitting in requires shrinking yourself and requires changing who you are just to be tolerated or accepted by a group. Belonging, on the other hand, means finding people who accept you exactly as you already are. It requires absolutely zero shape-shifting. You really have to stop shrinking yourself for spaces that were never designed for you in the first place. Realize that your weirdness is not a flaw. It's your compass, and it's pointing directly toward your true tribe. Section 4. Build your own tribe. But what happens if you follow that compass, look around, and still can't find a community that feels like home? Well, you create your place. And the best part? You don't have to wait around for anyone's permission to do it. A perfect example of this is the very origin story of Psych2Go, the source we're exploring today. Back in year 1, the founder was just a solo, first-year psychology student with a profound interest in making mental health knowledge accessible. Fast forward to year 3, they started sharing ideas on Tumblr, naturally attracting people who shared that exact same passion. By year 5, it had evolved into a massive, dedicated team and a thriving community focused on mental wellness and advocacy. They didn't find the perfect community out there waiting for them, so they built their sanctuary from the ground up. Section 5, Your Weirdness is a Superpower. As we wrap up this explainer, it's time to reframe your otherness. It's time to reframe absolutely everything you previously thought was wrong, weird, or broken about you. Because these traits actually translate into massive strengths. If you're a highly sensitive person, that sensitivity is exactly what makes you a compassionate healer, a deep friend, and an incredible artist. If you're an old soul, that inherent wisdom allows you to cut right through the superficial noise and focus on what truly matters. And if your values are misaligned with society, that gives you the incredible, rare courage to step off the conveyor belt and build a life that is actually authentic and meaningful to you. So the crucial point is this. The very things that made you feel like a lonely alien for all these years are actually the source of your greatest power. You aren't lost. You're just on a path less traveled. You are never meant to be a clone. You are meant to be an original. Feeling out of place proves that you're a pioneer, meant to explore completely new worlds of thought and feeling. Which brings us to our final thought. The reality is, the world just wasn't ready for someone like you. So, since you are clearly a pioneer on a path less traveled, my final question for you is this. Stop trying to find where you fit in. What unique world are you going to build with your gifts to finally get the